Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 231 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. For the latest weekly news, the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college sports, and WNBA, this is the podcast to be. So, last week was the NFL trade deadline, and I did say that we are going to talk about the NFL trade deadline. There weren't too many noteworthy moves, but we're going to mention at least a few. With the biggest one being Sauce Gardner got traded from the New York Jets to the Indianapolis Colts. In return, the Jets get two first round picks, and that's basically it. I'm honestly shocked because Sauce Gardner is actually one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL and was primarily the best defensive player on this New York Jets team. And with the Jets basically about to go on a rebuild, they would end up trading their best player. And the Indianapolis Colts, who I must say have been a huge surprisement this season, adding Sauce Gardner absolutely helps a whole lot on the defensive side and for a potential Super Bowl win since 2006 with Peyton Manning. How crazy is that? All right, for the other one we are going to talk about is speaking of the New York Jets, they also traded defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys. In exchange, the Jets get another first round pick from 2026 that the Cowboys won, their own first rounder, not the one that belonged to the Packers. And basically, this screams rebuild. Jerry Jones did get a defensive tackle that should somewhat keep Dallas in the wild card round, but a Super Bowl one? Forget it. The Cowboys still are not winning the Super Bowl. Dare I say the most overrated team so far this season. But as for the Jets, hey, more first round picks, more young superstar talent. Hopefully they're finally going to go in the right direction. Now, if they could somehow motivate the Buffalo Sabres to do that, wouldn't that be nice for a change? All right, then for the other one we're going to talk about is Jacoby Myers of the Las Vegas Raiders, as he is going to, the wide receiver is going to go from Las Vegas to the Jacksonville Jaguars in exchange for a fourth and sixth round picks. Didn't notify, say when, but I believe it's this year or next year if I had to take a wild guess. Now, this Myers was going to become a free agent. So for Vegas, this basically tells me that it was better if they tried trade him, get a bit of asset instead of losing him next to nothing, which I could respect the Las Vegas Raiders for doing that. But they've been a huge disappointment and they're just selling off on anyone who was going to be a free agent. And as for Myers, he's really going to be another big boost for Trevor Lawrence and it's going to be a huge help on the offensive side of the football. So I like this move a lot from both teams. All right. We got some other news to talk about. First one being Salvador Perez is still going to stick around with the Kansas City Royals. He signed a 2-year contract. No amount of money has been announced. Salvador Perez, next year will be his 16th season in Major League Baseball and with the Kansas City Royals. So I like this a lot. Salvador Perez obviously had a low on base percentage. Defense was pretty poor. The revelations aren't anything we didn't already suspect. Clase and Ortiz, who went on leave mid-season while the league investigated suspicious betting activity around their pitchers. Their pitches were suspected unintentionally throwing first pitch balls so bettors could cash in. Many of the pitchers weren't anywhere close to the strike zone. Ortiz was arrested in Boston, while Clase has yet to turn himself in. Prosecutors in Brooklyn brought the case against Ortiz and Clase, the latter of whom were considered MLB's primary closer in 2024. So the details I can say is Emmanuel Clase has been doing this for the past 2 years since 2023. Luis Ortiz joined him this past summer, when he got called up in 2025. And This is crazy. And potentially they're going to face 65 years in prison, which I don't know if they're going to get 65. I mean, we're waiting for the more evidence to come out. But honestly, Class A and Ortiz basically just threw away their careers. It's pretty much that simple. I mean, Class A also got suspended for PEDs back in 2020. So obviously, both are not Hall of Good or Hall of Fame much worthy. But honestly, this was so shocking. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this on Twitter at Billman Sports and Instagram at Billman Sports Guy. Now, another news we have to talk about, actually, two of them. One of them, breaking news. The Dallas Mavericks have fired Nico Harrison. Not even a year after suspectedly trading away Luka Doncic, which that was so mystery. While he did became the GM back in around 2021, and they did make it to the NBA Finals, but lost to the Boston Celtics in 2024. But after the Luka Doncic trade, Nico Harrison was basically looked at public enemy number one among the Mavericks organization and fan base. Now, in terms of who's going to fill in for GM, it will be well, and also with the 3-8 start. Now, Patrick Domit has been making some of the decisions, and honestly, I can't say I'm that surprised. I had a feeling after the Luka Doncic trade, Nico Harrison was going to be a gone goose. That the Mavericks were going to somehow either fire him or let him go, or a little bit of both. Yeah, it's really surprising. Well, it is, but also it's not at the same time. Let me know who you think will be the next GM for the Dallas Mavericks, and also what could this mean for the team going forward? Also, will Cooper Flag be a Dallas Maverick for life, or will he get the Luka Doncic treatment? We'll see. All right. The other news we're going to talk about, which does involve the Dallas Mavericks, is this is kind of a silly thing, but back in 1998, the Dallas Stars and the Dallas Mavericks, so Mavericks of the NBA, Stars of the NHL, they both had an agreement deal on sharing their practice facility. However, reports are that the Stars haven't used it in years. I don't know if vacant would be the right word, but after the Mavericks sue the Stars sue the Mavericks. So there's also potential chance that the Dallas Stars could be out of Dallas. And if that's the case, where do they go? Do they stay in Texas, even though there's an AHL affiliate called the Texas Stars? Or do they maybe go to Houston? Do they maybe go to Arlington, Texas? Or do they go to San Antonio, maybe? You guys let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. And my overall thoughts was this was sort of, I don't know, part of me felt like this was a little silly for the Mavericks and Stars to start suing each other, but yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions on Twitter at Billman Sports, Instagram at Billman Sports Guy, and here on YouTube at Billman Sports Guy. Alrighty, we're gonna do NFL power rankings from week 11, and we're gonna head in. I take that back. Week 10, we're gonna head into week 11. Hard to believe we are almost through the regular season still. All right, number 32, dropping one spot from last week, is the Tennessee Titans. Ah, listen, everyone knew the Titans weren't going to be great this year. Now, thankfully, they did have a bye week, but there's not much else to say. Number 31, dropping two spots from last week, is the Cleveland Browns. Almost had the win, but then lost to the New York Jets 27-7. Uh, Still something there in the defensive side, but offensively is really still full of question marks. Number 30, dropping two spots from last week, is the Las Vegas Raiders. Some people said Monday Night Football was boring. So was Thursday Night Football. And the Raiders were just almost a no-show against the Denver Broncos. And I don't know what else to say after that. Number 29, Actually, going up one spot from last week is the New Orleans Saints. Hey, they pulled off another win against the Carolina Panthers, a young Carolina Panthers, I will add. And it'd be interesting to see how they finish within the last 8 weeks of the regular season before the postseason. Because even though they're not going to make the postseason, but I'm curious to see if they're going to finish strong, basically. Number 28, going up by 3 spots, is the New York Jets. Another win. Congratulations. That's basically it. Speaking of New York, their sibling, the New York Giants, goes at number 27. The Giants had it, but then lost it to the Chicago Bears, obviously. And now Brian Duberle's been fired. And we'll see how this regular season is going to finish out for the Jets. Number 25, dropping 8 spots from last week is the. No, I take that back. 1 spot from last week. That is the Washington Commanders. It's pretty simple. The Commanders are banged up. Jane Daniels is out for basically the rest of the regular season. And honestly, I hope the Commanders can start healthy next season. Number 25, dropping 7 spots from last week, is the Atlanta Falcons. Though kind of a disappointing game against the Indianapolis Colts, they're really in a bit of a fluke, but they're still a young team. So I think they'll make the playoffs years from now. Number 24, dropping 2 spots from last week, Cincinnati Bengals. Though they had a bye week, but they do play the Pittsburgh Steelers next, which that's going to be a really big challenge for Jake Browning and the crew. Number 23, dropping, actually, yeah, dropping 10 spots from last week is the Dallas Cowboys. Another bye week, but another week where I'm just still not impressed with the Cowboys' effort and how they played in the season. So that's basically it. Number 22 is the Arizona Cardinals. The biggest question going to be for me is depending how they finish this season, what are they going to do with quarterback Kyler Murray? That's really going to be a big question. At number 21, going up 2 spots from last week, is the Carolina Panthers. Had it, almost lost it, and Bryce Young did kind of struggle a little bit against the New Orleans Saints, but the Panthers are a young team, so should cut them a little bit of slack. Number 20, going 7 spots from last week, is the Miami Dolphins. Talk about upset. The Miami Dolphins really upset the Buffalo Bills big time, and hey, maybe they could finish wild card if it's there. Number 19, dropping, or actually going up 2 spots from last week, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars, young team still, I believe with Trevor Lawrence that he'll get them into the postseason. But let's see how they do defensively with Travis Hunter being out for the rest of the season. That is going to be a big question mark for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 18, going up 1 spot from last week, Minnesota Vikings. Now, they might have lost to the Baltimore Ravens, but the Vikings, the future still looks bright with J.J. McCarthy. So keep your head up, Vikings fans. You'll get to the promised land one day. Number 17, dropping 1 spot from last week, Houston Texans. Even though the Texans won, but I still got some question marks about this team overall, especially with quarterback C.J. Stroud out for a period of time. Number 16, dropping 5 spots from last week, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, they felt like the effort just wasn't really there. And it'll depend on how they do against the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, the Chargers just basically silenced them. That's all I gotta say. Number 15, going up 2 spots from last week, Chicago Bears. Can the Chicago Bears reach into my top 10 power rankings? We will have to wait and see. But another game where the Bears fought till the very end, and they did not quit. So kudos to Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. And hey, I'll give them their flowers for this one. Number 14, going going up 6 spots from last week, the San Francisco 49ers. They were kind of there, but then they ran out of gas against the Los Angeles Rams. And with their next match against the Arizona Cardinals, that should be an easy win, but we'll have to wait and see. Number 13, going up by 1 spot, is the Baltimore Ravens. Hey, we're losing at one point, but then they came back and won. So good, solid team effort by the Baltimore Ravens. Number 12, going down 3 spots from last week, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, they had a bye week, but I still got some question marks. And with their next match against the Denver Broncos, that's going to be curious to see how they respond. And also against a division opponent. Number 11, going up 4 spots from last week, the Los Angeles Chargers. Even though they did great against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I'm just curious to see how they're going to respond for the rest of the season. Number 10, dropping down 5 spots from last week, the Green Bay Packers. So not just the Packers, but the Philadelphia Eagles. First half, both teams were very sloppy, and it felt like more of a defensive show. It was really a competition between Monday and Thursday night football on which football game was going to be the most boringest. And it turns out the Packers-Eagles one kind of felt like it. Packers did get a touchdown, but it wasn't enough to beat the defending Super Bowl champions 10-7. And they cannot lose to the New York Giants. They versed a bottom team, the Cleveland Browns, lost. Versed a bottom team in the Carolina Panthers, lost. Should have beat the Dallas Cowboys, even though we ended at a tie. But then the recent match against the Philadelphia Eagles, even though they're above 500, still lost. So Green Bay may want to get their act together if they want to start winning more Super Bowls, especially in the Jordan Love era. That's all I'm going to say. Number 9, going 7 spots down from last week, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First game that those two teams have versed each other without Tom Brady. And man, what a show between Drake May and Baker Mayfield. Let's see how both teams will respond. Number 8, going 7 spots down from last week, the Buffalo Bills. Just a poor effort overall against the Miami Dolphins. That's all I'm going to say. Number 7, going down 4 spots from last week, the Philadelphia Eagles. Same thing I said about the Packers. Sloppy first half, but they did come through and win the second half. And with their next match against the Detroit Lions, that's going to be very interesting to watch. Speaking of the actually, I take that back. Number 6, going, if I could find them. Oh, I did. Going up 6 spots from last week, the Denver Broncos. Broncos are a young team. I'm almost convinced that they might be able to pull off and win. Although Thursday night, they barely got away with a win against the Las Vegas Raiders. They got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and the crew coming into town next. Number 5, going up by 1 spot, actually, the Detroit Lions. The Lions really dominated and put on a show against the Washington Commanders, 44-22. Jared Goff, Sam Laporta, Amara St. Brown, David Montgomery, everyone on the Lions was amazing for that game. Number 4, staying at the same spot, funny enough, from last week, the Indianapolis Colts. Teams find ways to win, and the Colts found a way to win this game against the Atlanta Falcons. Jonathan Taylor's really making a strong case to win MVP, and I'll throw that out there now. Number 3, going up 7 spots from last week, the New England Patriots. Did anybody have the Patriots finishing above 500 this season? I know I didn't. And to potentially lead the division two or be up there with the Buffalo Bills, that is a strong season by Drake May and the New England Patriots. Kudos to that. Number two, going up 5 spots from last week, the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams gave it to them against the San Francisco 49ers. However, the next team I'm going to mention, I thought had a bit of a better game, which, number one, the best team heading into week 11, in my opinion, the Seattle Seahawks. Whoo! Could we throw them in the Super Bowl rankings? I think we can. The Seattle Seahawks were just flat out amazing all season long. And hey, Sam Darnold is another potential MVP candidate. So that is all for today's video. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 231 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. Always remember, for the latest weekly news of the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college sports, and WNBA, this is the podcast to be. Have a good evening, everybody. Stay tuned for episode number 232. Peace.